Thought I'd take some time today to talk to you about utilizing unilateral type strengthening exercises to improve your mobility while you're strength training. It's a great way to go ahead and improve mobility, and I know as we age, a lot of us are concerned about our mobility. Well, the key is to go ahead and use your strength training to enhance your mobility. And the great thing about it is, with bands, that's automatically going to go ahead and happen. Let me take you through a few of my favorite ways to use unilateral movements to mobilize my body, specifically my hips and my shoulders, while I'm strength training. One of the positions I love to use is I like to go ahead and just do unilateral rowing. Now, unilateral rowing is going to allow me now, because I'm only using one side, I can really adjust my base of support. So I can create a really wide base of support to go ahead and do it. So I'm immediately stretching my hips. I can also go ahead and widen my feet this way and turn and rotate. So now I'm getting great hip rotation while I'm working on my rowing or rotational pulling. Now, there's a key to this. You must have tension on the system at all times. If I step out here and there's tension on the band, as I reach, you're going to go ahead and keep tension on the system, which is going to ultimately cause your body to have to lengthen further. Another important key, this band tension probably has to be lower. If it's too high, you won't have a tendency to reach as far as you can. So as a result of that, you won't mobilize your body. The lower the resistance, the more you're willing to reach, and the more reps you're going to do to go ahead and really juice those joints. So those are keys to keep in mind. Now, the other thing is, you want to always be doing more reps. If your goal is to improve your mobility with your strengthening, you want to go ahead and make sure that your reps are high. Now, let's take pushing. Now, how do I use pushing to improve my mobility? Well, very simple. I like to put myself into a half kneeling position. Now, by putting myself into this position, I immediately go ahead and put a stretch onto my anterior hip. So as I go to push, I'm stretching my anterior hip the entire time. If I want to enhance that, I bring myself off the floor, dig my back toe in, and now I'm doing single arm pushing like this. Immediately I have to go ahead and stretch that anterior hip. If I want to bring in rotation, I'm going to go ahead and turn my foot to the side. Now, as I press out, I've got to stretch my groin on my right. Also, as I'm going ahead and bringing it back, I'm working on trunk stability, which is immediately going to keep my hips locked in, so they have to stretch. One of the things that you got to keep remember is your trunk has to be engaged during your mobility training. If it's not, you'll have a tendency to cheat through your low back. When I do pushing movements, my trunk is immediately engaged, so it can't allow my low back to cheat, and as a result of that, I get a great anterior stretch through my hip. Last thing I like to do is I like to go ahead and do unilateral type lower body strengthening. As an example, I'm going to go ahead and put myself in this position, and I'm just going to do a side reach. By reaching and keeping my foot straight, I have to rotate through my right hip. As a result of that, I'm working on hip rotational mobility. Sometimes I like to go ahead and do reverse lunges. So as I reverse lunge, I have to dig in my back toe, stretches my anterior hip, and now I push through and I train and strengthen my left hip. So here I'm mobilizing, here I'm strengthening. So those are just some movements that I like to use to improve my unilateral strength while mobilizing my body in multiple planes.